It seemed that all of Smitty's thugs wanted a piece of Kevin as more than 20 men laughed and jeered at him. They vastly outnumbered him, so they didn't think he stood a chance. The onlookers who were watching this commotion shook their heads one after another. Some of them even let out a sigh. It would suck to be that man right now. He actually provoked Smitty? What was he thinking? One of the onlookers said as he nudged his friend. His friend agreed. I know, right? Smitty's a relative of the Steele family. I think he'll definitely end up in the hospital even if he doesn't die tonight. It's a pity those two beautiful women have such bad taste to be associated with such a useless person, the onlooker added. Hearing the comments from the crowd, the sneer on Smitty's face grew even bigger as he directed his attention back to Kevin. Now that you know who you're dealing with, hurry up and choose your fate. I don't have any extra time to waste with you. Just as Smitty said this, Kevin did something that nobody expected. How dare you insult me like that? Even if Dalton came here personally, he wouldn't talk to me like that. Who the hell do you think you are? Kevin spat on the ground with disdain. The whole club suddenly became silent. Even the music was turned off by now. The manager was so scared that his eyes seemed like they were about to fall out. He quickly walked to the back of the bar and sat down to make a call. The rest of the onlookers, including the rest of Smitty's men, still couldn't believe what they had just witnessed, and they hadn't recovered from their shock just yet. I didn't see it wrong, did I? This man kicked Smitty right in the chest? One of the onlookers asked. Someone else from the crowd suddenly recalled, I remember now. He seems to be that good-for-nothing son-in-law who lucked into marrying someone from the Jones family. No wonder he looks familiar. Is that true? And he chose to go up against Smitty? Will he find a way out of this mess? The onlooker wondered. Another person replied, Members of the Steele family are people you shouldn't dare to mess with. Even if this man belongs to the Jones family, he won't be able to get out of this easily. Nicole looked at Kevin worriedly. Since so many people were saying that the Steele family was powerful, it was obvious that they weren't people that ordinary folks could provoke. However, Lily wasn't worried much at all. In any case, Kevin had a good relationship with Dalton. Perhaps she could still convince Kevin to treat Smitty to a meal to smooth things over and avoid causing any trouble. Although Kevin might lose some face because of this, at least it was much better than being beaten up. You useless piece of... You actually dared to hit me? Smitty was infuriated. He understood that Kevin had no plan to back down, so he no longer wanted to play games with him either. What are you all still standing there for? Hurry up and attack! Smitty raised his arm and called out his men. While he shouted at his men, he coughed a few times. It seemed that Kevin's kick was quite powerful because it had knocked the wind out of him. After receiving the order, the 20 or so strongmen all raised their knives at Kevin. Their weapons reflected the dance club's shiny lights onto the surrounding crowd. Seeing this, Lily and Nicole both cried out in horror as they feared for Kevin's life. Meanwhile, the other people in the nightclub either turned their heads away or covered their mouths with their hands. Not wanting to associate themselves with Kevin and the two women, they were afraid of making any noise that would get them into trouble. Everyone's hearts raced as they watched. The nightclub was filled with screams of panic as the onlookers prayed for their own survival. With so many men fighting, no one in the crowd could figure out what was going on. However, a few minutes later, all the chaos died down as Kevin stood alone in the middle of the dance floor, twisting his wrist. On the other hand, Smitty's men were all lying on the ground, clutching their arms and letting out miserable cries. Everyone's jaws dropped at the unexpected outcome. Their legs were trembling and their faces were filled with disbelief. They looked at Kevin as if they had just seen a terrifying ghost. I told you to get lost, but you chose to come back and provoke me. You left me with no choice but to do this to your men, Kevin coldly remarked as he slowly walked towards Smitty. Do you know why you can still stand? I don't know, Smitty answered almost subconsciously, fearing for his life. That's because of your brother-in-law, Dalton. Kevin took out his phone and called Dalton. Dalton immediately picked up and was the first to speak. Kevin,
There's no need to explain anything. I already know what happened. I'm on my way.
Hurry up. Your brother-in-law has caused quite a lot of trouble here, Kevin replied.
Wait for me. I'll be there soon.
After that, Dalton didn't say anything else and ended the call. Kevin then turned around and went back to Lily. He gently patted the back of her head and asked, "Were you scared?" It was only at this time that Lily finally returned to her senses. While she knew Kevin could fight, she never thought that he would be so powerful. "Kevin, did you really defeat all of these men?" Nicole was still in a state of disbelief. "Who else could have done it if it wasn't me?" Kevin didn't know how else to answer her. "Oh my God, Kevin! I can't believe you're so powerful now." Nicole's eyes grew wide with uncontrollable excitement. Just a moment ago, she had been as worried for Kevin as Lily. "What will happen to you and the others? Will you be arrested?" Lily asked worriedly. Kevin had already gone to prison before after a similar scuffle at the Salix Leaf Hotel. That wouldn't be the case tonight, would it? Kevin knew what Lily was worried about and reassured her. "Don't worry, Lily. They just dislocated their arms. Of course, I only showed them mercy because of Dalton. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been as lucky." By now, the surrounding crowd had slowly come back to their senses as well. One of them commented,
"Didn't they say he was just a good-for-nothing son-in-law? Maybe they were talking about some other guy. Besides, how can he be so good at fighting?"
"I can't believe he defeated more than 20 knife-wielding men using his bare hands. I thought I'd only see something like that in the movies," another onlooker added. "He only crippled their arms because of Smitty's connection with Dalton. If it had been anyone else." When someone mentioned this, the rest of the crowd couldn't help but shudder at the thought. Meanwhile, Smitty's men grimaced in pain as they nursed their injuries. Their faces were pale, and their foreheads were covered in cold sweat. As soon as some of them managed to get back up, there was only one thought in their minds right now: run! Seconds later, a couple of Smitty's men quickly bolted through the nightclub's exit, leaving their boss and fellow thugs behind. Despite this, Smitty remained confident. As long as Dalton was willing to help him, he would definitely have his revenge on Kevin. Little did he know that Kevin had actually called Dalton earlier, and his brother-in-law was already on the way. When Kevin had mentioned that he personally knew Dalton and warned him against provoking him earlier, Smitty assumed that he was only bragging. How powerful was this guy? Even if Kevin was quite skilled and strong with his punches and kicks, he was still just a good-for-nothing son-in-law who lived off his wife. So while Smitty was crawling his way to the nightclub's exit to escape, he was surprised to bump into Dalton, who had just arrived.
"Dalton, help me! There's a stupid piece of over there who wants to kill me, and he even said that he's friends with you,"
Smitty uttered in relief, as if his life-saving prayer had just been answered.
Hi, Kevin here. If you're wondering what happens next, then stay tuned on the Pocket FM Universe channel for more episodes.